A friend recently asked me a question and they said, do I really need a degree to work from home, or am I just wasting my time on some of these remote opportunities? Then I decided to do my own personal research and I began to notice something really important. You see, there are tons of remote roles out there that actually don't care about a university degree at all. They care about you having the right skills, how you're able to adapt in the team, and whether you can basically follow simple processes. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through some of these roles and I'll basically show you a few listings that were recently posted on some of these job boards so you can actually see for yourself how they are described. Now, depending on where you live, because I know I have a global audience, some of these remote opportunities might pay differently or might be hard to access, but I'm going to share some universal ones too. So there is something for everyone, not to worry. And some of these roles may need a short training or certification. And just to set your expectation, number 3 and number 5 happens to be my personal favorite. Let's start with the first one on the list because most people don't even know that this job exists. Now, there are people who spend their entire workday responding to alerts. I'm not talking about phone alerts, just someone making sure that everything is working the way it should. Now, the role is often listed as alarm technician or a remote alarm monitoring specialist. They are monitoring security systems, basically fire alarms, access panels, sometimes even environmental sensors, all from a screen. No university degree is required, as you can see in this job posting. Now, some companies, they provide training, others can ask for a short certification in security systems or a background check, which is very important. Pay usually starts around $18 to $30 an hour and can go higher for overnight or some specialized shifts. Now, if you're searching, don't just look for alarm technician. You will also see it under titles like monitoring operator, central station specialist, or remote system analyst. Now, this job is very quiet and it is one of those jobs that people rarely talk about, even though it's been around for years. Now, you might recognize this one because it was actually the very first role I spoke about in the 9th job video. Now, this remote role exists because a lot of businesses nowadays, they need someone to watch when everyone else is offline, not physically on site, but just someone who is alert and focused. And you're basically monitoring live cameras, feeds for warehouses, parking lots, campuses, or office buildings. Most of the time, nothing happens. All you just need to do is observe, document, and escalate only when something looks off. In a moment, I'm going to pull up a couple of actual listings so you can see for yourself how these roles are posted on job boards, because the wordings is usually what throws people off. They don't seem to understand when they come across wordings like that. So look out for remote surveillance officer. You might also see it under titles like video monitoring operator, remote security analyst, virtual guard, or CCTV monitoring associate. Now, the pay usually falls between $18 to $35 an hour, just depending on the shift. Now, let's move on because the next role doesn't involve watching screens at all, but it still doesn't require a degree, which is great. Some people don't realize how much of the world is built assuming everyone sees, reads, and processes information the same way. Now, this role exists because that assumption is unrealistic. I'm talking about an orientation and visual specialist. They focus on making sure information, spaces, digital content can be understood by everyone, including people with visual impairment, cognitive differences, or assistive needs. Now that can mean reviewing documents just to ensure that they work with screen readers. It could be checking that a website follows accessibility standards so that the text can be enlarged, can be read out loud, or can be navigated by keyboard. Just making sure that instructions, layout, or workflows are clear and not confusing or visually overwhelming. It also includes accessibility formats like Braille, large print, documents, audio, descriptions, and simplified visual layouts. Now you're going to see these roles under titles like accessibility specialist, digital accessibility analyst, assistive technology specialist, or visual accessibility consultant. And a university degree isn't always required, but short courses and certifications matters a lot. Many people, they start with accessibility or WCAG focused courses on platforms like Udemy, Coursera, and then they build experience from there. The pay is typically around $25 to $45 an hour, with higher rates for consulting or contract work. Now let's move on, because the next role looks completely different, but it is very quiet. Every court hearing, disposition, or legal proceeding, they leave behind a record, not a summary, not notes, but an exact account of what was said during proceedings. That role is known as a court reporter or a stenographer. Now, instead of typing normally as you typically know, they use specialized equipment to capture spoken words instantly. This is often during live court sessions, hearing, or disposition. And today, many of these proceedings, they happen remotely, which means that the work can be done from your home. Now, a traditional degree isn't always required for this job, but formal training and certification are essential. And most reporters, they complete focused programs that teach stenography, legal terminology, and real-time transcription. Now, you will also see these roles listed as legal transcriptionist, real-time captioneer, remote hearing reporter, or a judicial reporter. Now, when it comes to the pay, it ranges from $30 to $75 an hour, which is huge. An experienced reporter can earn well into six figures annually. Now, let's move on, because the next role involves reviewing content, and I'm not talking about recording content. Just a quick note before we continue. I have been getting lots of questions on my Instagram and even here on YouTube about remote work, online opportunities, and where to actually start. Now, I'm currently building a community. It's called Anywhere Income, and it's a space for people who want clarity, skill, and direction. So we are not opened yet, okay? But if you want to be notified when enrollment starts, please follow the link pinned to the comment section of this video. Let's get right back into the video. Now, before any content ever reaches the public, someone has to decide if it actually should. And this is not based on opinion, but it's based on rules. This rule exists because platforms, brands, and some marketplaces, they deal with massive amounts of user-generated content every single day. You guys know content is king, and this is the job of a content reviewer. You're basically checking posts, videos, ad listings, or written submissions against clear guidelines. You're flagging what doesn't belong there and approving what does. Now, you're not creating anything new. You are just evaluating what has been done already. And most of the work is done flexible hours and with very little interaction with people. Now, a university degree usually isn't required, but training is provided to help you better understand the company's policy and workflow with regards to content. So you'll also see this role under titles like content moderator, trust and safety associate. You also see policy reviewer or platform integrity analyst. So when it comes to pay, it ranges from $18 to $30 an hour with higher rates for specialized or senior review role. When companies move vehicles around, deliveries, rentals, service calls, someone has to make sure that everything is actually running the way it should. And I'm not talking about you driving and it's not by fixing anything at all, but by simply watching the data. Now, this is often listed as a fleet service analyst. You guys know that some of those fleets, they all have tracking devices, and someone has to review the report, has to track the performance, flag some irregular activities, and coordinate the next steps when something doesn't line up. Now, most of the work happens inside a boring dashboard or a boring spreadsheet, and it is totally remote, it's structured, and it's very process driven. Now, a degree isn't always required. Many companies, for sure, they care more about the attention to detail, your analytic skill, and you being reliable. Some provide on-the-job training. You will also see this role under titles like fleet operations coordinator, logistic analyst, logistic planner, transportation data specialist, or asset monitoring analyst. Pay usually ranges from $22 to $40 an hour with higher pay for night shifts or specialized fleets. Now, this last job is all about catching mistakes before anyone else does. Now, before anything goes live, a product could be a system, a process, someone has to make sure that it actually works the way it's supposed to. And this is the work of a quality specialist. Now, you are basically reviewing workflows, testing systems, checking outputs, and you're basically documenting anything that doesn't meet standards. Now, sometimes it's software, sometimes it's customer processes, sometimes it's internal tool. And the truth is, you're not fixing the problem, you're just identifying it clearly so that it can be fixed properly. Now, when it comes to having a university degree, it's not always required because many companies, they prioritize attention to detail, consistency, and the ability to follow testing procedures. Training is often provided when it comes to this role. And you'll also see this role listed under titles like quality assurance analyst, QA tester, process quality coordinator, or compliance quality associate. Now, the pay typically ranges from $22 to $45 an hour, just depending on the industry and your responsibility on the role. Now, before you click away, I want to say this. The goal of videos like this isn't to overwhelm you with job titles or to make you feel as if you are behind. No, it's to open your eyes to the fact that these opportunities don't always look loud like the popular customer service or BA roles or cybersecurity roles out there. A lot of real work wears different names, and some of it is remote, some is hybrid, and some is just quiet by design. So if you're new here, I just want to say welcome. You are in the right place. Hit the like button for me. Let me know where you're watching from because it helps. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss what is coming next. And please do share this with someone who is quietly looking for a way forward. Remember, 2026 is here, and if you want more videos like this, let me know in the comment section. I read them all for sure. All right, I will see you in the next one. Take care and bye for now.